Hello and welcome to MTG Specs and to this video sponsored by Wizards of the Coast, and it is a video that's finally going to answer the question that's on every Magic the Gathering player's lips, which is the best clan in Tarkir Dragonstorm, and we're going to do that through maths. Basically, we are going to tot up the colours in the top 20 limited bombs that you might see at a pre-release this weekend or a draft beyond, because this is going to be one of those all-time draftable sets. We're going to tally up each time they share a colour with that clan shard. Will that work? Probably not, but it's a framing device, so I can talk about delicious new Magic the Gathering cards. Cards like Elspeth Stormslayer, which chalks 1 point for white. Oh my giddy aunt. This is insane. Ding dong, Elspeth Stormslayer. The reason I love this card is because of that zero loyalty. Zero loyalty to send all your creatures to the skies and give them +1/+1 counters, which means no more stalled board states. And of course, Planeswalkers are so squishy. Well, not this one, because it can destroy creatures, it can create blockers, and it doubles tokens in a format that has not only a mechanic Endure, but also the what's the other one? Mobilize. I know Magic. So this is incredible, and the idea of the video is, you know, white is good. So Jeskai, Mardu, and Abzan are off to the races. Who will be next? Let's find out now. It's another white card. It's Sage of the Skies. Why is this good? Well, it's a 2/3 evasive flyer with lifelink, which means you ain't winning no damage races against this card. And if you've cast another spell, you get 2 of them, so that's 4 lifelink damage in the sky. And if Elspeth's on there, I mean, this is Magical Christmas Land, but that's what I deal in. That's the channel. If Elspeth's around, you'd get another copy of that. Anyway, that's by the by. On its own, it is incredible. So it's a fantastic card. Again, Jeskai, Mardu, and Abzan are off to the races with this incredible card. Very, very good. 2 points to white. Who is next? It's Marang River Region. Oh my word. So this has flying, 6/7, big booty, and when it enters you get to return not 1 but 2 other target non-land permanents, so not just creatures, to their owner's hand. So you can bounce any defense that your poor hapless opponent has put together in the pre-release, and then start smashing in, or you can return one of your cards to your hand so that you can enter the battlefield. It's incredible. On top of that, the Omen's really cool too, and that's fine, and that's not the reason I'm in love with this card, but Marang River Region is a bomb if ever I saw one. Who's next? So Black has entered the chat with Rot Curse Rakshasha. Oh, so good. Okay, so you want it in your graveyard, because casting it, waiting for it to attack so that it can die and go to the graveyard. I mean, that's not terrible. Trample 5/5 is cool for 2. Obviously, it can't block. But the best part is that you can use the renew mechanic to make your opponent's creatures decayed, so they can't block, which you can time that so that you are going just before combat in with your forces. So this is an amazing card. Well done to Black, who's on the board. So look out for Rot Curse Rakshasha. Incredible. Next up is Sinkhole Surveyor, another point for Black. So a fierce 2-drop. I mean fierce, not fierce. So what I like about this is if you choose to put the counters on it, that 3 toughness is going to grow very quickly, and it's also a flyer, so it's keeping what's that white one, Sage of the Skies, it's keeping that in check, and you could choose to create blockers with it, which is great as well. But what I think you're probably going to do is keep piling on those +1/+1 counters so it gets out of control very quickly. Pretty ace. So yeah, another point for Black. Amazing card. Next up is Scavenger Regent. Oh my word. Okay, it's a board wipe on a creature. So each non-dragon creature will get -X/-X until end of turn, 2 black and X, which is solid. Remember, omens get shuffled back into your library, so you'll be able to use that again. But if you should commit with that 4/4 body, that ward is nasty, because you're invalidating removal in a sense. because they then have to pitch 2 cards. The card they use for removal and the card that is winging its way out of the hand to pay for the ward cost, although they might be discarding the rot dude from before. Who can say? But this is another bomb and chalks up another point for black, who's in the lead with 3. Next up, we have the first red entry on this list of top 20 limited bombs. Tersa Light Shatter? It sounds like Shatter. Shatter. Oh, okay. Whoops. Oh, my mind went somewhere completely different then. Okay, let's go back on track. So, 3/3 for 3 with haste is wonderful. Resculpts your hand. And then that last one, which says, whenever Tersa Light Shatter attacks, if there are 7 or more cards in your graveyard, exile a card at random from your graveyard, you may play that card this turn, which is a bit chaotic. I wouldn't be putting that into my deck for that last part, but I think the 3/3 for 3 and the resculpting of a hand is pretty amazing, especially if you manage to pair this with the dragon from before that bounces things. You could bounce that back to your hand and you could recast it. Again, magical Christmas land, but on its own, a solid limited bomb. Next up is our first green entry in this top 20 limited bombs, Bloomvine Regent. I like this card. I think it's very good. So we've got a Cultivate attached to it. So is anyone ever going to play Cultivate again? I don't know. But the reason I like this is because whilst someone's getting their ramp package together, somebody's hit their mobilize and they're chucking warriors at you, and it becomes difficult because you spent your time ramping whilst getting hit for plenty of damage. So here we've got a body attached to it too. So we've got choices, and choices are fantastic in limited. So we can cast that 4/5 dragon, which says whenever this creature or another dragon you control enters, you gain 3 life. Obviously that catches you up on the life that you've lost if you are a dedicated ramp deck. So Bloomvine Regent, solid bomb, excellent card. Like this a lot. Okay, next up we have the Warden of the Grove, scoring another point for green. At the beginning of your end step, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. Whenever another non-token creature you control enters, it endures X, where X is the number of counters on this creature. It is incredibly difficult to keep up the creature that is getting bigger every turn. That's why I liked the Sinkhole Surveyor so much. But that is not just it. So after we have played, we can give other creatures that enter endure, which means we are either making them bigger or we are creating XX white spirit creature tokens, which are getting bigger all the time, as is the Warden of the Grove. This is nuts. Nuts, I say. You must, if you pull it, we will look for a green aligned pair or move on to one of the shards with green in. Good stuff. So our first 2-colour pick is Barren Steppe Siege, and we're not choosing Mardu, we're choosing the Abzan because once again, creatures scaling, all your creatures scaling by 1 every turn is nuts and wins games. So that's a point for black and a point for white. Barren Steppe Siege. Next up, I believe, is a Temur. It is a Temur. Oh, it's so pretty. Okay, so we don't really want to do nothing with things coming into play, and it is 6 mana, but it does the most. So if we get this to stick every time we play a land, we're creating a 4/4 evasive creature flying. So no one is coming back from that. But to make things doubly worse, when it enters, it can clear off a small board of tokens that have been built up using one of the mechanics, which is nuts. If anyone is going for that low to the ground wide board, this is going to wipe them out and then provide you with tons of bodies. This is nuts. Temur, well done. That's a green, that's a blue, and that's a red. Point for each. Oh, spicy. Continuing the theme of, everything keeps getting bigger, so what are you going to do? It's Felothar, Dawn of the Abzan, which says when it enters or attacks, you may sacrifice a non-land permanent and then put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. Very, very Abzan. Obviously, you're going to need something to sacrifice. Not a problem in this limited environment with so many tokens flying around. I'll once again say the words endure and mobilize. This is nuts. This is something that people cannot come back from. So Felothar chalks up scores for white and black and green. Next up is a card I think you're going to see a lot of. Oh, and you can see a lot of it because it's uncommon. Why is it uncommon? I have no idea. Because it's a 6/5, flying, vigilance, and trample, and has hexproof. If it hasn't dealt damage yet, not ward, hexproof. What is this? So this is going to swing in for 6. You're going to hit something for 6. Swing doesn't even have to tap. This is nuts. This is a nuts card. It's uncommon. So you're going to see this, and if you should pull this card, Temur might be the direction that you want to go in. Have I said this is nuts? I have said that a couple of times. Ridiculous. Next up, we have Revival of the Ancestors. Okay, you know that whole "you had me at" meme? Well, the first part of this, the first lore counter that goes on, was going to create 1/1 white spirit creature tokens, which is great. Loads of utility, loads of reasons to have those. You've seen some cards that will love those. But then we can distribute 3+1/+1 counters among 1, 2, or 3 target creatures we control, scaling. And then the number 3, Lore 3 or Chapter 3 is very good. Creature control gain trample and life until end of turn. Next up, some Temur representation with Songcrafter Mage. It's Snapcaster Mage, but he's playing a cool instrument and is surrounded by spectral wolves, so he is cooler. And also, the best thing about this is the instant or sorcery that you would like to recast from your graveyard, you can tap this gentleman and you can shave 3 generic mana off of that casting cost, which is very cool because Harmonize isn't there's no tap symbol, it doesn't gain with little tap symbol and say tap this. So it's like with vehicles, you can tap it even if it's got summoning sickness. So this is nuts and amazing, and with all those massive spells, those big showy spells that I haven't really included in this top 20, you can target them and cast them again. That wins games on its own. So obviously you want to include this in a deck that is using big spells, which feels Jeskai in a sense. Anyhow, it's good. It's good. It's a really good card. I love it. Next up, we have the Windcrag Siege, which is another one of our enchantments where we get to choose a clan. The Mardu side says the Mardu option says if a creature attacking causes a trigger ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. Situational. I'm more interested in the Jeskai part that says at the beginning of your upkeep, create a 1/1 red goblin creature token. It gains lifelink and haste until the end of the turn. So we are creating a free token every single way. I love a bit of free board presence. Swampage. So that is pretty cool. I think that's the one that you'll be choosing. This is an excellent enchantment and one for your serious consideration. And moving on to it's a colourless card, so it doesn't contribute to my wacky scoring system, but I had to include this because I think this is a bomb because of the hexproof from monocoloured part, which some players are not going to be able to deal with that at all, and +2/+2, and you'll be wanting to target one of those big beefy dragons, maybe one of those lovely Temur dragons, so that you're actually just equipping this for 1. So this is really good. This is a really good card, and it's really good because I think there's a lot of decks that are not going to be able to keep up with and deal with whatever you attach the Dragonfire Blade to. Next up, we have Shiko, Paragon of the Way. The potential here is you get a 4/5 dragon and another creature out of the bin. So you're actually getting more for your money, not just for 5. You can get up to 8. So I think that is pretty good. I don't think 5 is a particularly outlandish thing to aim for. And it's flying. And it's a 4/5. So it's pretty amazing. I'm not sure there's a lot of boards that can keep up with that, and so this is a card that I've got my eye on. We move on to another card that is in my top 10 cards from this set, and I'm pronouncing it as Corsi Revenant, and I'm going to stick to that. Okay, so Death Touch, obviously incredible in any environment. Can trade with anything, and there are a lot of big things to trade with in this set. Lots of, I don't know if you knew this set was about dragons. There's a lot of dragons in it. This can trade with them, and it's a rattlesnake card, so it's keeping away. And then when it dies, you can exile it using the renew mechanic, which is my favourite mechanic from it, because I'm Sultai through and through. And then you get to put its counters or its abilities in counter form onto a creature you control, meaning more death touch and, more importantly, more lifelink for those damage races. This is so good. This is so good. And chalks up another score for black. Well done. Have we got time to... Where's my camera? Is that my camera? Have we got time to have a look at the scores on the doors at this point? Know how many cards we've done. White, black and green all have 7, and that spells out Abzan to me, so maybe they are the best clan mathematically based on my subjective musings. Let's find out as we move on to the next card. Moving on to the next card, we have a card that doesn't change the scores but is a bomb in itself. Ugin, Eye of the Storms. Yes, I know it costs 7. However, if you manage to get it into play, you are able to exile up to one target permanent that's one or more colours. Plenty of those in a multicoloured set. And that protects him. And when you do that, you can then choose from the smorgasbord of other options, and you'll be choosing the +2 to draw you a card. Remove something and draw a card is pretty good at, I don't know what this is, moving them that way and you that way. That's not, hold on, brain. Disparity. Yes, disparity. That's a disparity between you and your opponent as they lose something and you will up a card. And if it's on 9 loyalty, well, they can chip away at it as much as they like because you're just going to +2 it again and draw more cards and gain more life. Oh, it's good, isn't it? It's really good. But obviously you've got to cast it. So it is bomb-ish. No, it's a bomb, but it's you know, just an expensive one. And we've had a few of those. Okay, moving on. So, my honorary mentions in white, totting its score up by 2, is Rally the Monastery and Static Snare. So, options are good in limited, and with Rally the Monastery, we have got a choice of 3. The 2 monk creatures with prowess will win you games in the right deck, but also we've got something we can use during combat, and we've got removal as well, and the spell costs 2 less to cast if you've cast another spell this turn, so it's solid, even solid, just for 4 mana. A good card. Static Snare, white removal, very important, and this one also can have a cost reduction as well, which I think is bonkers. So if we're being attacked by 4 of those mini little warriors, we're going to be seeing a lot of warriors throwing themselves at your face. This could be a flash spell for 1 white that exiles target artifact or creature an opponent controls until it leaves the battlefield. On to my honorary mentions in blue. We start with Ambling Stormshell. I don't know if it's the janky part of me that loves this, but in limited we are getting a 9 booty and we are able to draw 3 cards for 5, and I think that's really good. And I mean, there's potential to bounce it and replay it so that we can remove those stun counters. There's potential for it to die and be reanimated, but it's drawing 3 cards. Everyone loves drawing cards. I think drawing cards is good. So that's my in-depth analysis on Ambling Stormshell. Bewildering Blizzard. Okay, right. This is good because it costs a lot to draw those cards, but it has an instant impact as well. So we are able to, I suppose, it's got this semi-fog-like quality. Creatures getting -3, -0 to end of turn. So I really like this card. Look, both of them draw 3 cards. I love drawing cards. I think these are good. Not quite bombs, but definitely solid. And then I actually have chosen 2 other blue cards, which pushing that blue up to 9 points. Winter Night Stories. So again, drawing 3 cards. Oh, I'm a bit of a... I love a card. We get to draw 3 cards and discard 2 cards unless we discard a creature card. And actually discarding creatures in this is not bad, especially if that card comes with the word renew on it. So we can do some renew shenanigans. I wish I hadn't said shenanigans, but it's happened. And has a harmonise as well, so we can repeat that. Solid. And I included Naga Fleshcrafter in my top 10 cards. You can see that video on the channel because a clone is able to scale with everything else on the board, and it has Renew. So look, you could discard it with Winter Night Stories and then have a very odd win con with Naga Fleshcrafter because you exile the card from the graveyard, put a +1/+1 counter on target non-legendary creature you control, and all those other creatures you control don't have to be non-token, can become a copy of that creature. And if you're playing a white and a blue deck, and that should be Sage of the Skies, that's a huge life swing. Bit chaotic. I love it. I think it is a really good option in your decks. So that's 4 honorary mentions for blue. In black, I've chosen only one honorary mention, that is Avenger of the Fallen. If you are somebody who likes turning your cardboard sideways and going in for the kill, you've probably lost a few creatures on the way. And a turn 3 Death Toucher is pretty good because it can trade. But the best part of this is, if it gets pulled later on in the game, you've got a ton of creatures in your graveyard. You are putting a ton of power onto the board every time it attacks, and that can swing games. So Avenger of the Fallen also attacking willy-nilly with that Death Touch, a solid include in any of the clans that align with black. Onwards to the red honorary mention, and it is Corey Steel Cutter, which says a quick creature gets +1/+1 and has trample and haste, but there's also flurry attached to this. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, you create a 1/1 white monk creature token with prowess, and you may attach this equipment to it. They are very strong. Prowess tokens in the right deck, you are sending them in, casting spells, people don't see that coming, they're losing creatures or they're too afraid to block, and so you're smashing in for damage, and that changes games really quickly. But if you manage to equip this onto, say, let's see, so we play a creature and then we equip this, so turn 3, so by turn 3 you are immediately able to get yourself a cheeky little monk. And I think that that is pretty powerful. And only one green honorary mention, which is the Lasside Prowler, which says when this creature enters, you may mill cards equal to the number of lands you control. But it's the renew that I'm very interested in. Also, it's a 5/5 for 4. Did I forget to mention that? For 1 and a green, exile this card from your graveyard to put X +1/+1 counters on target creature, where X is the number of land cards in your graveyard. Okay, so let's put that onto one of our flyers that has lifelink. Let's put that onto an evasive creature to smash in for a huge amount of damage. This is good. Next up, and adding some much needed points on the board for my favourite clan, we've got Awaken the Honoured Dead and Fangkeeper's Familiar. Fangkeeper's Familiar is in the video I mentioned a couple of times, the top 10 cards in the set. We'll get onto him in a second. Awaken the Honoured Dead. Very simply, it destroys a non-land permanent when it comes into play. It does what Sultai wants, milling some cards, and then 3, you can discard another card and return target creature or land card from your graveyard to your hand. I love that, but the reason I included it is the removal that then feeds into a Sultai strategy. Fangkeeper's Familiar. So, in the video, I talked about how this is a card that people are saying it's not very good because you can only counter a creature spell, but for limited, the part I like about this is it's got the words destroy target enchantment on it as part of its package, because we have seen there are some insane enchantments, bombs that will take over this game. You need some enchantment removal, but it's always useful as well. That's a 3 life gain and Surveil 3. That is really good card sifting selection. I'm going to get run out of the Magic community if I cannot choose one of those words. Bear with. Selection, wonderful. And the counter spell's okay. I'm not going to hold you up 4 mana in a game of limited, but I could if I wanted to. So yes, and the flash again, flash 3/3 body is great for that surprise defender. So I'm on board with a bit of Fangkeeper's Familiar, and also I included another Sultai card in Lie in Wait. So again, it's doing more than one thing for a black, a green, and a blue, returning a creature and then dealing damage of equal to that creature's power to another target creature. Means you're bringing something back and getting rid of something. So again, disparity is the name of the word du jour. So loving a bit of line weight, and that adds a bit more black and green and blue to the scores. Moving on to Mardu, adding some white, black and red onto the scoreboard. We've got Mardu Siegebreaker, which is a 4/4 for 4 with Death Touch and Haste, and that itself would be enough, but no, let's stick a load more stuff on this card. When it enters, you can exile up to one other target creature you control until this creature leaves the battlefield. Whenever this creature attacks, you get to create a tapped token for each opponent that's a copy of the exile card attacking that opponent, which works really well with the Sonic Shrieker that I've included. Sonic Shrieker being a card that has a bit of a 2-for-1 going on. It's got flying, it's a 4/4, and when it enters, it deals 2 damage to any target, and you gain 2 life. And if a player has dealt damage this way, they discard a card. Up on creature, they're losing a card. That is pretty cool and works really well with the Mardu Siegebreaker. So if you see both of those, one of them is an uncommon, pop them together and Mardu is the way forward. And on to our last mention, which is an Abzan card, Yathan Roadwatcher. Again, it's that 2-for-1 that you should be looking out for when you are playing limited or choosing cards for your deck. When it enters, if you cast it, you get to mill 4 cards and then return something to the battlefield. So, does access to limited bombs and powerful cards make a clan good? Not really, but if we were to go by the points accumulated in this silliness, then Abzan and Sultai would be our top 2 clans in Tarkir Dragonstorm. What I have noticed from putting this video together is that there is powerful cards across all 5 colours, and I find that really exciting. I'm ready to get stuck into a pre-release, and hopefully if you see some of these cards, if you're lucky enough to crack them, you will know now to build around them, because there are some huge bombs that are just going to take over games and lead you to victory at your pre-release. I will be reporting about my pre-release this weekend over on MTG Specs EDH, which is my Instagram, and on YouTube. So if you enjoyed this humble free content today, a like and subscribe would mean the world to me. Good luck with your pre-release. I hope you build some spicy brews. Let me know all about them, and I will see you on the next one.